Why would Jesus tell John to write a letter to an angel? That's the question. So in Revelation 2 and 3, Jesus instructs John to write a letter to each of the angels of the seven churches. Each of the angels of the seven churches, using the Greek word agelos. And it means, very strictly, it means, or the most narrower interpretation is messenger. Typically in the Bible, we're referring to a messenger of God when it's used. And it's often used as in Scripture as just any messenger. Is often used as an angel, the being, an angel being as well. So when John refers to the angel of the church of each of the seven churches, it could mean a bunch of different things. It could mean an actual angel that is assigned to look over each church. And that makes a lot of sense because all the other times in the book of Revelation, the word agelos refers to an actual angel being. But there's also no other evidence in Scripture toward a particular angel sitting over a particular church. So it could mean that, but there's not like supporting evidence. Also, why would you write a letter to a physical letter to a spiritual being? That's kind of a weird thing to say. Another option is that it could be the messenger of the letter, like John sending the message. So like the mailman who took the letter to the church. The positive side of that is that it's a literal understanding of the word agelos as messenger. The downside to that is it doesn't make sense to address a letter to the messenger of the letter who's taking it. So probably not, in my opinion. It could be the senior pastor of the church. That makes sense as the question asked. That makes sense as far as like if you didn't know what the word was and you just read that sentence, you would assume that John's talking about. Like if we took the word angel out and you just read the sentence, you would assume the missing word was pastor because it makes the most sense that John would be writing a letter to a pastor. But then why didn't John just say pastor? Why did he say messenger? It could also be the spiritual heart of the church. And that makes sense because really that's what the letter is for. It's for like the church, the spiritual heart of the church. But that doesn't make sense when you compare it to the distinctions made in chapter 1 of the angels of the seven churches, where it's distinct from the church itself. The messenger of the church or the angel of the church is distinct from the church itself. So, moral of the story is it doesn't really matter what this means really, because the takeaway from this should be that John write a letter to the churches, like so that they can hear this stuff. But I think what makes most sense is that it would be like the pastor of the church, or you don't even have to use the word pastor. You can just, the idea of whoever's in charge of communicating the message to the church, like the preacher of the church. Write a letter to the preacher of each of the churches so that they can communicate the message to the church. I think that makes the most sense, but mostly it doesn't really matter because the main meaning is make sure all the churches hear this letter or write this for the churches.